All right, well, a huge crowd from across America braving the cold and the snow yesterday in our nation's capital. They gathered on the National Mall for this annual event called the March for Life. They are opponents of abortion, and they put the focus this year on adoption. It is part of an ongoing culture war to change abortion laws and promote a culture of life. Conservatives are saying, some of them, that they think this could be a winning issue to go back to and put some focus on for the Republican Party. Is that true? Let's talk to Michael Graham, radio host of the New England Talk Radio Network, and Jamu Green, former president of the Women's Media Center and a Fox News contributor. Welcome. Good to have you both here.
Good morning.
I want to start by playing two sound bites, actually. The first one is going to be from Patrick Kelly, he's the chairman of the March for Life. And then after that, I want to play some very passionate comments made by our own Brit Hume last night on Special Report. Let's roll those.
We at the March for Life believe that adoption is ultimately an act of love that unites the birth mother with the adoptive family in a bond of love for the very same child.
All right, let's listen to Brit Hume as well on this issue last night on Special Report.
The biggest chain of abortion clinics in the country refers to itself as Planned Parenthood. In 2012, this organization says it carried out, quote, abortion procedures 329,445 times. Whatever that number represents, it's not parenthood. These protesters here today understand that there is something deeply false and wrong about all this. They come each year to remind the rest of us.
All right. Very strong commentary, Jamu. What do you think about that and about the push this year, really, to talk more about adoption as an option?
Well, Martha, I know that the decisions that women make about abortions, there are many different reasons. Americans disagree on those reasons, but there is overwhelming agreement that those are decisions that each woman needs to be able to make by herself. And despite so many nationwide polls that show that they do not want Congress dealing with these issues, there's a small and very vocal group of conservatives and special interest groups that are trying to push an anti-women's health agenda. Stupid is as stupid does, because you look back to 2012 with President Obama's 2012 election, you look at the 2013 gubernatorial race that Terry McAuliffe won in Virginia, women reject politicians and policies that restrict their access to reproductive rights, including safe and legal abortion. And
I would just mention that 60% in polls, 60% of Americans say that there should be no legal abortion in this country after 3 months. So a lot of this comes down to the restrictions that some conservatives want to put on when abortions can take place. Michael Graham, your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, Jamu does a great job of laying out the politics of this. It is very easy to be perceived as anti-woman when you're trying to defend the life of this unborn child. And any Republican who approaches this issue and doesn't understand that you're walking on not just eggshells, but explosive eggshells is crazy. This is not an arena to be aggressive, but it is an arena to open the door, because what has happened to the radical pro-abortion extremists like Wendy Davis in Texas, who support abortion almost on demand, certainly after 20 weeks, which she imagine that, standing up and saying, after 20 weeks when the baby's viable, I'm still going to filibuster to make sure that you can take the life of that baby. That's the kind of extremism that's driving more and more people, particularly younger women, because of the technology of a sonogram. Now that you have a generation of people who've seen what the child looks like, it's not just an abstract argument. The politics are, and the lay of the land is changing.
I want to stay in the political realm for this discussion, Jamu, because the question here is there, sort of a political stronger groundswell toward people who would like to see some of these restrictions, like the 60% who think that no one should have an abortion after 3 months of being pregnant, that might be a political group that could be tapped into to Republicans' benefit if they're willing to go there with it.
Well, Martha, there is certainly an unprecedented wave of attacks in state legislators across the country going after reproductive rights for women. But I'm heartened by the fact that you look at the millennial generation, 6 out of 10 millennials believe that women should have access to abortion in all or some cases. It was young people who pushed back the 20-week abortion ban in Albuquerque. It was young people. Michael, you bring up Wendy Davis. They were the ones who packed the Texas state capitol supporting her.
But there's also young people pouring into the streets in Washington, Jammu, to say that they are a generation in favor of life. So, I mean, Michael, when you look at that youth vote that everyone's always trying to, get a piece of, do you think that politically that's a wise move for conservatives?
Well, once again, abortion is such a radioactive topic. I used to run campaigns for a living, and what Americans, how they really feel about abortion is they wish it would just go away. They wish that they didn't have to deal with the issue because it's so profound. Nobody wants to tell a woman what to do. No one wants to see a baby get killed. Those two issues conflicting. So the idea that you would make this a front issue, up front as part of your agenda is absolutely, I think, a mistake. At the same time, if Democrats follow Jammu's suggestion of standing by radical, extreme positions on abortion, they're going to drive more and more people away because for the first time in a long time, more people consider themselves generally pro-life than pro-choice, according to a recent
Very interesting the way the numbers
these are
appear.
radical.
We got to leave it there, Jim. I started with you and with
They're
Michael.
very radical, absolutely
we'll do
radical.
It again. Thank you very much, Michael and Jammu. We'll
Just
see
to
you next
Michael's
time.
point, our new Fox poll that came out showed
Yeah.
a slim majority. It was like 48-45 in that pro-life as
Yep.
opposed to
Yeah, it's
pro-choice.
interesting the way the numbers have gone.
Yeah.